Today I want to take you through a super quick 10-minute video. I'll try and keep to 10 minutes. I'll try my best, dealing with something that I call a dream thief, which is procrastination. I want to walk you through why we procrastinate, what procrastination is, and 10 top ways in which you can make sure that you don't procrastinate. I love this quote. I thought I'd start here. How soon not now becomes never. What I love about this is it just sums up the essence of procrastination so well. It's a slippery slope. As soon as we start procrastinating and putting off things and getting that positive payoff of, getting away with not doing something, we end up becoming a master of that, and these dreams just slip through our fingers. I want to prevent you from that happening to you. So I'm going to take you through things that I know have worked for me and that can work for you as well. So have you had those times when you've had a goal, a dream, or for those in my retreat academy, it might be right now for you, starting to think about running retreats, or you might have been thinking about that, doing that for years or scaling them. Or maybe it's about going after the job you really want, getting back out in the dating arena, tackling a big project, getting fit at the gym. Whatever it is, we know what we should do, but we end up getting overwhelmed and then throwing, those best laid plans out the window in order to do something that gives us those short-term gains. So the social media scrolling, the distractions, the short-term payoff pleasure activities. One of the most common problems for not going after our dreams is procrastination. It all comes back to this. We know what we want to do and we should do, but we wind up doing something else. And I want to explore why that is. But not before this quote, which I love too. You'll see I love quotes. You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. And I think the thing about this, the essence of this, is that it feels good. Why do we do it? One of the reasons is it feels good. When we don't, when we try to sort of look at this bigger than Ben-Hur project, we look too far into the future on anything that's important to us, starting a business, running retreats, getting into better shape, going for that new job, tackling that important project. It can just seem like this mammoth hill that we've got to hike. So we end up shutting down because you just get overwhelmed, and it's easy to then just go, okay, well, I'm just going to watch Netflix, or I'm just going to scroll through social media because, oh my God, that just seems far too big, and it's just daunting me. It's freaking me out. So that's one of the main reasons that we do this, because from a psychological point of view, we get that positive payoff and we let ourselves off the hook, because doesn't it feel good when we let ourselves off the hook and think, I'll get round to that tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. The more we do it, though, the more we build our procrastination muscle. And there's many more reasons we procrastinate, but today I'm going to talk about the big 5 drivers. So the first one being we get that positive payoff by letting ourselves off the hook. It feels good. The second one is something that I talk about a lot through my mindset workshops, and it's about perfectionism. This really goes hand in hand with procrastination, waiting to get that business plan just perfect, or waiting until you're the perfect weight, or living the perfect life, or have that blog just right before you'll go after what you want, or that presentation that you're working on, or that speech that you're supposed to be delivering, laboring on and on and on, going back to it, having a break, going back to it, having a break. In this push for perfect, it ends up being elusive. We never quite get there as the bar keeps shifting. And instead, it's about taking that leap, that massive, I love to call it massive imperfect action, and just going for it. It's how we learn. And at the end of the day, isn't done better than perfect? I know in my early days of running Escape Haven, I was known to, redo table decorations because I didn't like color of some of the flowers or some of the, decorations themselves, turn down notes, that kind of level of detail because of perfectionism. And when you start to try and get things a perfect, specific way, you never actually take action. And so that's one of the biggest reasons that people procrastinate. What's the third thing? We hesitate. When we hesitate with anything in life, we're signaling to our brain that we're afraid. We are doubting ourselves and it's unsafe. Our brain is wired to protect us, so it will build up a wall of resistance that we need to then work against, doubling the effort required to get it done. So be really, really conscious with regards to hesitation around something, because it will make it that much harder to move out of your comfort zone and actually get on with it than it would if you hadn't hesitated. I love to use the 5-second rule, counting down from 5. I'm a big Mel Robbins devotee, and she talks about this a lot, and it works, counting down from 5 and just doing it. What's the next one? Fear of failure. One of the biggest fears in life is failing. No one wants to end up with mud on their face, facing the I told you so's and giving up. So many of us suffer from the imposter syndrome and are desperately trying not to be revealed for the lack of who we believe we are. It's such a common trait I see amongst so many successful people. And then on the reverse end of the spectrum, would you believe it? But a fear of success. Believe it or not, but people procrastinate because they're afraid of success that they know will result if they move ahead now. Success is heavy. If you think about it, it carries a responsibility with it. It can change many things in your life, and you have to be ready for it. Unknowingly, though, this can be the very reason that many don't start something. It's more comfortable to live in our comfort zones with a certain level of success that is known. At least we know what we're in for that way. And we're wired to stay in our comfort zones after all. It's that safe sanctuary of a calm harbour rather than going out into the ocean of unknowns. Or managing distress. So recent research suggests procrastination is linked to a difficulty of managing this. Specifically, it seems that we avoid tasks, say we create these associations around this new project or this new goal that we have as being too hard, or maybe it's painful, or maybe it's boring, fill in the blank, whatever that might be, that negative association that we've created around it that makes us avoid the task. So we'll do whatever we can to avoid doing it because it just feels icky. It doesn't feel nice, and it makes sense because we are programmed as humans to avoid pain at all costs. We're pleasure-seeking machines. We do not like pain, and we will run for the hills if we sense any. But what's ironic, though, if you think about that, the long-term payoff of being this master procrastinator is it leads to increased stress, health problems, poorer performance. There's so much research on this, the sleep issues that procrastinators have because we know we're not doing what we should to get ahead, and we feel guilty. Our self-esteem suffers. We feel shameful. We're so critical of ourselves that we keep putting off tasks, and then the cycle continues and continues. Wow, so how do you overcome it? Well, 10 tips I have for you today that work for me, and I'm just going to rapidly go through these. The first one is focusing on one thing. It's so easy to put things off when you have a million things on your to-do list. When I first started Escape Haven, it was just me and myself and I was a one-man band, and I had to be really mindful of how I was using my time. So I divided things into green, orange, and red zones, and make sure I do what I call green zones first every day. This helped to find my priorities and gave me a really tight direction on what to focus on. For those that don't know what a green zone is, basically green is anything that would drive the progress of the company forward. So it was game-changing things. It was things that were, that dovetailed into my strategic objectives, things that really made an impact on work. And then on the other end of the spectrum, red zone's the easy stuff. It's the running the trains, it's the nice to do sort of stuff. But that's where, again, if you think about the way our brains are wired, we tend to play in that space. So by being very specific about how I use my time and where I use my time, it meant that I was not procrastinating because I was going after the stuff that was kind of the big and the heavy stuff first rather than last. Your willpower runs out towards the end of the day. It's the worst time of day to do things. Start of the day, much higher chance of getting it done. Second thing, chunk it down. Reward yourself. Eat the elephant one bite at a time. Things can seem insurmountable and overwhelming when we don't break them down into small milestones along the way. We love achieving, right? It gives us that sense of satisfaction that we're actually getting somewhere. And from a chemical point of view, it gives us a dopamine hit. So it's important to really break things down into small little chunks, but also to celebrate when we get there. Research shows that the human brain responds to this reward stimulus, and this can be a great way to create new habits that will in turn then help, those former negative associations that I was talking about earlier. It helps us overcome any of those that we might have previously made about this task or project at hand that we're now working against. So make sure that you really ramp up those rewards as much as possible. It doesn't have to be huge things, but just lots of little things. And take stock of how far you've come rather than just looking at where you need to go. It's a big one. Third one, remove distractions. Technology, social media, it's all distracting. People walking in and out, family being able to find you easily, always having an open door policy. All of those things help us build our procrastination muscle because we're like, oh, look, I've been distracted. Oh, look, I'll go and solve this easy thing or that easy thing. Leave your notifications off, remove yourself from an area where you can be found easily. It all prevents you from getting into that beautiful flow state. And that's where you truly tap into your genius and your creativity that's needed for some of these big, meaty, projects or tasks or things that you procrastinate about. Power hour. It's actually a power 30 minutes, but I call this my mini power stint and sprint. And this basically is where I set a timer. I choose to do something tricky that I often have resistance against doing it. I do it in the morning and I just get on and get it done. It's long enough to make solid progress, but not long enough that, you get bored and tempted to find an easy distraction. So make sure, you're in a place where you can't get disturbed and just get it done and get it done in the morning. It really helps. Then identify where your resistance is. We often may not know what's actually holding us back until we dig in and ask ourselves some questions. Here's 2 questions that I often journal when I'm feeling that I'm not actually making progress with something. And I catch myself and go, Janine, you're procrastinating. So I write, take a bit of paper out and write these down. I'm avoiding this task because. I'm avoiding this task because. I'm avoiding this task because I'm afraid that. I'm avoiding this task because I'm afraid that. By being able to, identify your fears, getting them out of your head and onto paper in front of you can help you really look at them in black and white and realize that those monsters in your closet aren't as bad as you think, or they might not even be real, no substance to them whatsoever. It's a thing I love about journaling. You'll hear me bang on about journaling a lot because it's just a way of being able to be observational and standing apart from your thoughts instead of embodying them. They're a lot less threatening when you're not embodying stuff because it's not on some crazy loop in your head going around and around and around and dominating your thoughts. Get them down on paper, take a look at them and actually rationalize and ask yourself, is this true? Number 6, remember your why. Your why is your very reason for doing this. I love Simon Sinek. I don't know if anyone's read his books, but if you get a chance, do. It's called Discovering Your Why. He's the leader in this field. And, for me, retreats was all about positively impacting women. I didn't want them to reach burnout in the corporate sector like I had, and I was so passionate and driven by this why. I can't tell you how this alone, knowing my why, has helped me go above and beyond so many times in my entrepreneurial journey over the last 14 years, especially when the road got so tough where I felt like giving up. Because when you know your why and you're living by it, it just gives you that motivation, the energy, the force, courage, conviction on the days when you just don't have it in you. It's like your little X factor. Whenever you embark on, will have a why behind it. So really take that time to figure it out when you're starting a project or a task, which you know is going to require motivation, and lean on it in those times where you just can't gather that motivation, or when you're feeling the fear that's coming up inside of you, or you just can't be bothered. It's so true. It's something that we wrestle with so much as entrepreneurs because it's always about that relationship we have with fear. So this is such a key tool in terms of helping you overcome fear as well. Schedule. Very simply, if you don't plan for success, you plan to fail. So, we've all got 24 hours in a day. Some people just manage to get stuff done, why others don't. Some people are time efficient, why others are always like, I just didn't have time. I ran out of time. Well, maybe you didn't structure your day. Maybe you didn't schedule it in. Make sure you schedule in the important stuff and get it done. Having an accountability partner is a great way of making sure that you're being held accountable. It's why coaching works so well, because you've got to be accountable to someone. Or having a workout buddy, you hear yourself making excuses in your head. You don't want to do that to your friend. When I went to Brazil to start Escape Haven, I told everyone, every man and his dog knew I was going there. That way I knew I couldn't back down or away from this, and I had to step forward. Your partner could be your friend, your family, workmates. Key tip here, though, is just ensure they're supportive of you and your journey. Otherwise, this can backfire. I remember some people thought I was crazy throwing in my corporate career, but luckily the majority didn't, so that was a good thing. Stop the push for perfect. Look, I've spoken about perfectionism before when I was talking about the why behind procrastination, but drop the perfectionism. Really work on this. It won't happen overnight, but be conscious when you're doing it. So many of us suffer from this. I see it all the time. Done is better than perfect. Make that your mantra. There was a time I was so inclined to be this way, and it was something that I had to actively work on. And the most interesting thing for me was the parallel between perfectionism and procrastination. The less I was a perfectionist, the less I procrastinated. So try and be really conscious and really aware of when you're doing this, and give yourself permission to take action, because the only way you're going to succeed with these dreams and these goals, and to make sure procrastination isn't stealing your dreams away from you, is to just go for it. Last one. I love this. Do you know Henny Penny? I love the story about the chicken that ran around thinking the sky's going to fall in, the sky's going to fall in. Don't be a henny penny. Whatever you do, don't catastrophize something. Sometimes, and again, the way our brains are wired from a neuroscience point of view, is to keep us safe, to keep us in our comfort zone. So we overestimate risk, like massively. We gaslight it. And we underestimate the ease in which it can take to actually get to our goals and our dreams. So what's going to happen when we feel this way? What's going to happen when we're catastrophizing? We're going to suddenly get rigid, get in a place of fear. We're not going to grow when things like that happen, and we're going to find any excuse, i.e. procrastination, not to do something. Again, journaling. Journaling helps with this. Get it on paper. Look at it. Is this true? Is this actually a fact, or am I just being a henny penny here? The more conscious you are, the more you'll be able to come in. So those are my top 10 tips today, guys. Not wanting to go on much longer. Just want to ask you, what, if you can comment below, what can you stop procrastinating about? Having heard why you do it, what it is, 10 ways in which you can take action to avoid it, let me know. I want to know. I want to be your accountability person. Put it down below. Say out loud, what are you going to stop procrastinating about? And which one resonates most with you? Out of all of those 10 tips that I've given, which one can you actually commit to taking action with today? I'd love to hear it below. And again, a year from now, you may wish you had started today. I wish Karen Lamb had told me this quote on those 3 years I lost from being paralyzed towards going towards my dream of running retreats. I don't want that to happen to you with procrastination. So, comment below, share this with anyone that you think might be able to benefit from it, and best of luck.